Hello, people. It's your boy Osman back again with another Manchester United podcast. As always, make sure you get your comments in, obviously get your score predictions, that kind of thing, and get your question for your boy. Do apologize, I'm slightly late. I just had a few things I need to sort out before going live. But listen, that aside, Manchester United v Brighton, the match preview. I've not done a match preview in a minute, so hopefully, I can just give you guys my thoughts really on obviously my mindset going into the game, how I expect to approach it, the whole situation regarding Manchester United. Of course, I've not done a podcast for a while, basically just over a week. Long story short, I've been really ill. I've essentially had everything under the sun, from headache to flu to sore throat to fever, literally everything. So I've just been recovering essentially. So yeah, that's basically why I've not uploaded. Obviously, I was meant to do a show earlier in the week, but again, like I said, I had a really bad sore throat and I thought it makes sense to rest. So I do apologize. Please forgive me. But that being said, make sure you slap a like on the video. And of course, please subscribe to the channel if you're new. My socials are on the screen. But listen, let's get some comments in. There are some lovely people in the chat. The United Way, loving the new artwork, bro. Thank you so much. I did the thumbnail myself at work. I did a bit of spare time, so I thought, why not? Make that time good use. Obviously, United Way showing love. As always, any news on Amrabat? So obviously Ten Hag came out in the press conference. Obviously spoke predominantly about Jadon Sancho, but MUTV interviewed Ten Hag after the press conference, and on MUTV he said that Amrabat is not available for selection for tomorrow's game, which is extremely unfortunate. Obviously, we can go into what he brings to the team when he's actually available for selection, so I don't see any need to actually delve into that any deeper, but he basically said he's not available and hopefully will be available in the coming future. For me, that sounds like he's not going to be available for the Bayern Munich game as well, which again is extremely unfortunate, but it is what it is. I mean, he's come to the Manchester United with an injury. I don't understand how we consistently screw ourselves over. I mean, we've just had an absolute. Obviously, Højlund came injured as well. Højlund came injured. Amrabat's come injured. Mason Mount got injured. And On is the only one standing, so hopefully he's all right. Otherwise, we're definitely going to be a lot of mess. But yeah, we'll get into that shortly. Muslims in the building. Walaikum salam, brother. Inshallah, it's been a blessed Jum'ah for you, my guy. Thank you as always for sending love and obviously sending me those messages. It's very nice to see. Obviously, we are in different time zones, so of course it's good to wake up to those messages. Harris Rowe, shout out to you, brother. Hopefully you're well, cuz. Salam, can't wait for Amrabat. Walaikum salam, firstly. And Højlund home debut tomorrow. As I was just saying, Harris, Amrabat is not available tomorrow, which is extremely unfortunate. But yeah, he's not going to be playing. Højlund on the flip side, I'm expecting him to start. I'm actually tempted to buy him on FPL. I'm so tempted. I just got a feeling he's going to do well. I'm from the jump. I know that's probably maybe somewhat deluded, but maybe that's what I want to happen. But I think Højlund will get up to a great start. At home, it's going to be a very open game. He brings a lot to the team, so I'm excited to see him live in the flesh. So that's going to definitely be good to keep an eye on him. It'll be interesting to see who he plays up top with him. Obviously, we'll get into that very shortly with the Sancho and Anthony situation, but yeah, we'll touch upon that at some point during this show. After watching the press conference, what are your thoughts on Erik ten Hag and his handling of the situation? A fantastic question from the United Way. Thank you very much for that. Sorry, I just got a cough still. What are my thoughts? I think for me personally, it's very black and white. I mean, if anyone that knows me, follows me on my socials, you know that I'm a big fan of Jadon Sancho. I have been for a long time. I've essentially been down on the Jadon Sancho hill, and I've defended him through his poor performances, through his good performances, whatever it may be. I have been in Jadon Sancho's corner. However, I think this is the first time that Jadon Sancho, for me personally, is massively in the wrong. And it's good to actually see a manager stand up for himself. And it's also good to see that player power is not running rife at Manchester United. I think that's been the biggest issue for a long time. Within this football, there's been a lot of issues, but definitely one of the issues is the fact that player power has been extremely prominent within the football club. And I think that is something that definitely needs to stop, especially in a situation where the player, like Sancho, is in the wrong. And for me personally, I thought Ten Hag did the right thing in the manner in which he conducted himself. The only thing I would have preferred him not to do would have been to call him out in public. However, on the flip side, and haven't had the time to think about that, I think for me, from the outside looking in, it feels like Ten Hag has had enough essentially. Last season he covered Sancho a lot. Gave him the opportunity to go have a break. Through pre-season, obviously get a chance to recharge mentally, physically, spiritually, wherever it may be, and protected him. And I think Ten Hag did a fantastic job last season in that scenario. And you saw when Sancho returned, he had the support of the fan base. There was that moment on the touchdown where they're both smiling. It was very wholesome. Sancho came and had a good performance, that kind of thing. Since then, the reports are coming out that Sancho hasn't really kicked on in terms of, his discipline issues. He's always been consistently late to training, to meetings, yada, yada, yada. I mean, whether he trains well or not, it obviously trains to a sufficient standard or not, obviously we can't really go off that. We don't really know. That's an opinionated thing on Ten Hag, and he personally believes he doesn't train hard enough. So for me, I feel like the whole situation, Ten Hag basically said, look, I've tried this method and this didn't get a reaction out of you, and now I'm going to try this method and we're going to see what happens. And sadly for Ten Hag, it massively backfired. Sancho reacted in the worst possible way, which was essentially throwing his toys at the pram and complaining about the manager coming out. And to be fair, Ten Hag didn't really say anything that he hasn't said to Rashford or Garnacho in the past. It wasn't necessarily a dig or indirect or indirect to Sancho. It was essentially keeping the consistency in the manner which he spoke about Rashford and the manner which he spoke about Garnacho, in the past. And he kept the same energy with Sancho, and Sancho reacted in the opposite way in which Rashford did, which was, I'm going to knock her down and prove the manager wrong. And I think for me, that's what Sancho had to do. On the flip side, Sancho coming out and saying what he said, obviously there's probably other issues, underlying issues that we're not aware of. Of course, we're only seeing one side of the story, which of course is the managers. So from that perspective, we don't know the full situation. And I do empathise with Sancho to an extent that he has been hard done by, in my personal opinion. I think he was our best attacker this pre-season. He hasn't had the opportunity in the first two games. He comes on against Wolves when Garnacho drops an absolute stinker, Anthony drops a stinker, Rashford drops a stinker. Sancho comes on alongside Eriksen for 30 minutes and essentially wins that game. And for me personally, it was disappointing that he didn't get rewarded for that performance in the game after, where those same players that I just mentioned retained their spot in the team, where they were absolutely diabolical. Off the back of that performance, they were still absolutely shocking. Sancho still doesn't get a start. They drop another stinker. Sancho still doesn't get a start. And for me personally, I can see where the frustration would come in that scenario. Of course, Rashford played in strike. Sanchez played false line for the entirety of pre-season. Why would you play Rashford in strike when we know he's not good there? You could have easily put Sancho in false line, Rashford on the left wing, and they both would have been in a position that they, the preferred, so to speak. So little things like that is probably why he's frustrated. The manner in which he's gone about it, he shouldn't have done that. And for me, that's where I have to agree with Ten Hag. The buck stops with the manager. He has to uphold the standards. If Sancho is constantly late and Ten Hag's trying to do X, Y, and Z, and Sancho hasn't reacted in the way that you'd expect a professional footballer to do so, then of course that is going to lead Ten Hag to have frustration. So I understand it from both perspectives. For me, I'm disappointed Sancho hasn't come back and said, look, I'm sorry, I should not put that post out. I do feel like I've been hard done by basically the comments that you made, and I don't feel like they're justified. But on the flip side, I do understand that I need to work harder, or I do need to, apply myself better. And also, I should not put the statement out, regardless of how I felt. We should have spoke about it man to man behind closed doors. So, in a weird way, I feel like they're both culpable, but I do think Sancho should apologise and being the bigger man. I am a bit worried about the Sancho situation, not necessarily for his United career, because for me personally, it seems like that's probably going to be done, which, as you know, I'm a big fan of his, so that's unfortunate, but obviously no player is ever going to be bigger than the club. But from a Sancho personal perspective, I don't think it doesn't bode well for me in the manner in which he's conducting himself throughout this entire situation. It really stinks of, a person that is essentially not aware of the scenario, the bigger picture, and whether it's because he doesn't have the right people around him to speak to him and give him that guidance, or whether it's just he has issues behind closed doors that we're not aware of. It'd be interesting to see what comes out later down the years, because similar to Dele Alli's situation, we wasn't fully aware of what was going on behind closed doors. And of course, once he came out and spoke out recently, you get a bigger picture and you understand why he behaved in the manner in which he did during those periods at Tottenham Hotspur. And for me, I feel a bit of that with Jadon Sancho. Is there underlying problems, issues that he's got going on in his personal life that we're not aware of? But listen, we'll have to wait and see what happens. I hope he swallows his pride, because he's got a clear path of that right wing position with the Anthony situation, him being out of the team for the foreseeable future for personal reasons. Sancho had the perfect opportunity to break into the team and stay a claim for that right wing position. I mean, his only real threat is Palestri, and whether Ten Hag puts Bruno or whoever it may be. Of course, he's not going to pick Bruno over, fit and fine Sancho if he's on form. So on the right wing, that is, of course. So for me, he had a perfect opportunity to stamp a place, and I'm a bit surprised that he hadn't apologised off the back of hearing that Anthony is going to be essentially suspended or taken out the limelight, whatever you want to call it. Surely Sancho would have looked at that and said, "No, what? This is a perfect opportunity. Let me just swallow my pride, get me back in that team, because I've got a chance now at Manchester United." And for whatever reason, he didn't want to take that chance. Whether it's because he feels hard done by the manager and he doesn't want to play for him anymore, I don't know. But the only thing that can really happen is if Sancho apologizes, then they can go about rectifying the situation. If he doesn't, then he's getting sold. It's as simple as that. But yeah, to answer your question in a long-winded way, I personally think Ten Hag's done the right thing. You have to uphold the standards. You have to send a message to the rest of the team. If you step out of line or disrespect me, there will be ramifications. And at the end of the day, no player is bigger than the club, and the manager needs to make sure, he upholds those standards, because you don't want to see one player potentially get away with something that other players thinking they can follow suit. That is the last thing we need at the club, because the club is already in shambles when it comes to mentality and obviously just being run with some form of normality. So yeah, for me, credit to Hag, fair play to him. It is what it is. Shout out Staffy, my brother. Hopefully you're doing well. Always good to see you in the chat. No way Amrabat would let Pulisic start. No way, no Amrabat. I would let Pulisic start. Yeah, I think for me personally, it makes sense for Pulisic to start. Yeah, I just think it'd be a bit disappointing if he doesn't start. I mean, we haven't got another right winger in the team that's available for selection. I mean, there's a strong chance he plays Bruno out on the wing. But for me, would he go Eriksen, McTominay, and Casemiro or Bruno right wing? I don't know. I mean, there's definitely a possibility it does that, but I'm going to be disappointed. I mean, if he goes for the diamond, it is what it is. He plays basically 4-4-2 diamond. I won't be opposed to that, because obviously pack the midfield, that kind of thing. Fair enough. But I don't want to see Bruno right wing. I just don't think he flourishes there. So for me, I would start Palestri. Could be a similar situation to Garnacho, where he's probably not ready to start, and he's still good as an impact. But the only way you're going to find out is by giving him the chance, throw him in the deep end and see how he gets on. I mean, he does well for his country every time he plays. And to be fair to him, every time he comes off United, be it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, he does contribute in some way, shape or form. I do think we are missing a player of Palestri's profile, just an out-and-out attacking winger, or an out-and-out winger that's trying to get to the byline and get a ball into the box. We don't really have that in the team. If anything, it'll be a blessing to have someone who can actually provide service to Højlund. And to be fair to Palestri, I won't be surprised if he gets a few assists off Højlund, trying to make that run near post, so to speak. And I think Højlund would definitely benefit from a Palestri. Someone who's quite unselfish, someone whose first thought is to create. And we are missing that. We are missing that actual creator. So for me personally, I would start him. I don't see any other viable option. I mean, Bruno maybe starts Martial and puts Rashford on the right. That would be interesting if he did that. Rashford right, Højlund down the middle, and Martial on the left. That would be a variation I'm not expecting to see, but you never know. You never know. Can you see why back with Sancho? Obviously, I've answered that. Thank you for your question. As you know, we're saying, please keep smashing like on the video, and of course subscribe to the channel. Let's get some more questions in. Keep your questions and people, obviously we're trying to answer as much as we can. I can already answer this, but who's your preferred right wing for tomorrow? Yeah, as I was saying, Palestri for me. Bruno that's how you wrote it. Bruno has had an excellent international break. He must start in the 10. I mean, I think that's pretty straight to the point, and I completely agree with that. I think for me, it would be an absolute travesty to have Bruno Fernandes playing on the right wing. I mean, he massively suffers playing on the right wing. I mean, I will criticise him if he drops a stinker. I'm not going to lie. on the right wing. But that being said, why would you play one of your best players out of position? It just does not make sense. For me personally, the team needs to be built around Bruno in this scenario. He's, like I said, one of the best players in the team. I don't rate him as highly as other people, but you can't deny that he's one of the best players. We say a lot about the rest of the team, but that's a different convo. Yeah, keep Bruno Fernandes in the 10. As you said, he's had a great international break, bagged a hat-trick of assists and a goal, granted against Luxembourg. But listen, we'll take the confidence, goals, assists, only breeds confidence. It can only be good for United. So we'll take it. Hopefully he can carry that form for United because we massively need him in the foreseeable. So yeah, I'm hoping Bruno can bring some of that back to United because we are in desperate need of a bit of quality. Palestri Mount can share the right wing position. Yeah, I mean, I was saying this the other day actually. I do think Mason Mount at right wing could work. I know that sounds a bit mental because obviously he's not a right winger, but just him lacking a free role, ability to roam in, obviously getting to the final third, that kind of thing. I think that's kind of where he's best, just in general. Look, at the end of the day, I don't want to see Mason Mount play right wing long term, but as Akil said, yeah, up until Amad Diallo is available for selection, it could definitely be a viable option. I don't want to see Bruno there, I'd rather see Mason Mount there personally. That being said, I wonder when Amad Diallo is available because if anyone deserves a run of games, it's that guy. He was absolutely sensational on loan in the Championship for Sunderland. Yes, not the Premier League, the Championship. That being said, he showed that he's capable in a men's game to deal with the physicality. Of course, it'll just be interesting to see how he fares in the Premier League, different kettle of fish and all that. But I do believe in his quality. I believe in his ability. I mean, he scored for us against AC Milan, I believe, when he lobbed Donnarumma. Was it AC Milan? I think it was AC Milan. Anyways, I know he scored past Donnarumma, was like 6'7" with a header, which was absolutely unreal. And for whatever reason, after that, Ollie never really gave him an opportunity. I felt like every time he played under Ollie, he seemed to, have an impact. Very high IQ player, intelligent, great eye for a pass. He's got a good shot at him, and all around great, great player. So it would be great to see Amad Diallo there right wing. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise what's happening with Anthony and Sancho. Amad Diallo might come and take that spot and make it his own because I do actually think he's got a lot of talent. But again, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I do agree. I do think Palestri Mount, I'm not sure when he is back though, being saying that. Let's get some more comments in. Højlund needs service as it's imperative. He gets his first goal tomorrow. Do you think Rafa can be greedy at times? Good question again. Great questions in the chat. Keep them coming. People's really helping with the topic, obviously with the show in general. Like I said, I want to try to be as more interactive as possible. So obviously the more people that tune in live, I can obviously try and get your questions in like I am doing now, and obviously have a bit more of a back and forth. That's just basically what we want to do, try and build a bit of community. Can Rashford be greedy? I think that is an understatement. He can definitely be greedy. It is frustrating because he has shown in the past that he's capable of picking a pass. And to be fair, for England the other day, he was absolutely unreal. I mean, I was extremely surprised in the manner in which he was playing. I mean, there was a few occasions he was picking the pass instead of dribbling, overplaying it. Don't get me wrong, there were a few as well that he's overplaying. I'm like, oh, here we go, that's Rashford. But in general, his overall game was a lot better. He was picking his teammates out a lot more. He was looking for the runs, and he's being a bit more creative. I'm not sure if that's because Harry Kane's up top and he knows he's got a bona fide number 9 or what the reasons for that is. But I need to see more of that in a Man United shirt. Against Nottingham Forest, I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and he was extremely integral, influential, whatever you want to call it. It was getting those 3 points. I mean, he was involved in all 3 goals. His pre-assist for Casemiro goal was absolute quality. That crossed to Bruno Fernandes, obviously Bruno knocking it down. Casemiro scoring, and that was absolutely beautiful. I really need to see more of that from Rashford. I remember when Cavani was at United, Rashford was actually getting a fair few assists. Whipping the ball into Cavani, was obviously getting the end of quite a lot of things. And hopefully we see something similar with Højlund. One thing we do know about Højlund is his movement is second to none in the box. Of course, he's still got a lot to improve, but in general, he looks like he's hungry. He looks like he's got that tenacity off the ball. He's going to chase down. He's going to harrow defenders. He's going to battle. And that's something that we need desperately in this team, especially in the number 9 position. An out-and-out striker. And hopefully he can get the service, as you said, it's imperative that he gets the service. For me, regarding the goal, I don't think that's that important. As long as the performance is there, we saw in that very brief period against Arsenal that he has got something about him. So if you can, give us as much as what he did in that cameo and more against Brighton, then I'm going to be impressed. And I think for me, it's about the performance for these individual players. I'm not so much looking at the stats. Give me a performance similar to what he did. And obviously adding the 20% onto what he did against Gabriel Magalhaes. That was extremely promising, and hopefully we can see a bit more of that moving forward. But yeah, listen, I'm excited to see Højlund tomorrow. McTominay seems to be in good nick. I would like to see him start. I don't agree in terms of him starting. I mean, maybe against Brighton it could work. As I said, Bruno right wing, Eriksen, blah, blah, blah. I just don't want to see Bruno on the right. So I personally would start Pelestri, but if he starts McTominay, I'm going to be disappointed. I can't lie. It's extremely uninspiring. Yes, for Scotland he does well, but it is what it is. Start alongside Casemiro, of course, that's what you meant. That makes sense. This must be Pelestri's opportunity. Yes, the England game was shocked. Højlund against Brighton centre-back should be interesting. Absolutely. But yeah, listen, for me, my team selection is very straightforward. Obviously, get your team selections down in the chat. Obviously, I'll get some of them on the screen, sorry. Obviously, back five picks itself. I don't think there's any question marks over that. Lisandro Martinez is fit, which is a massive, massive positive. Alongside Lindelof, of course, the only two really available centre back. Don't want to see Harry Maguire anywhere near this team ever again, but it is where it is. Right back, left back, Delo, Wan-Bissaka, and of course, Onana and net. In terms of the middle of the park, for me personally, I am going to go for Casemiro, Eriksen, and Bruno. Yes, I understand Eriksen against tired legs is it's asking for trouble basically, and there's definitely opportunities for them to exploit that on the turnover, on transition. So it's a turnover like I'm American, on transition. So that is definitely a worry. But I think Eriksen brings so much to the team on the ball, which is massively missing when he's not. Sadly, Amrabat's not available. Otherwise, I would have started him. That being said, 60 minutes for Eriksen, take him off. Put McTominay in for 30 minutes, let him run around, do what he does, break up play, obviously get up and down the pitch, hopefully. That's what I would personally do. I think that Eriksen sub, bang on in the 60 minutes is extremely necessary. For whatever reason, Ten Hag leaves him on the pitch where the game's getting extremely stretched, and that's when he starts to get exploited. And for me, Ten Hag needs to be wise and understand that he ain't got the legs for 90 minutes anymore. But that being said, definitely think Eriksen should start alongside Bruno and Casemiro. On the right, as I've already said, Pelestri. On the left, Rashford, and up top, Højlund. For me, that's the only front three I would start. I mean, Martial is definitely there, but I don't think Martial is fully fit. He's not sharp, sorry. If he goes Martial left, Rashford right, Højlund up top, I mean, it could work, but is Martial got the legs? I don't really know. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. But yeah, for me personally, that's what I would do. We've got subs there, we've got options, we've got Garnacho there. We've got Martial off the bench. I mean, there are two options, attacking options that can come in and potentially change the game. If needs be, Scott McTominay, if you really want to throw him into the convo, I don't think he's going to get much of a say, but you never know with Ten Hag these days. But listen, regarding the approach for me, again, Brighton, extremely difficult game. There's no denying that. They've got an abundance of talent. Ferguson is a doubt for this game. Off the back of a hat-trick, he's going to be in... he's in a rich vein of form, but he's going to be coming into this game with confidence. I would presume he's going to be available for selection, but of course we'll have to wait and see. Look, Ferguson is showing his quality. A lot of teams are sniffing around him. He's going to be the next £100 million player for Brighton. But look, he's got a lot about him. He knows where the net is, and we need to be on job. I would presume he's going to start. Matoma hasn't really done much against Man United, I must say. That being said, I can't remember if it was a cup game or the league game. It might have been the league game, but he had us on toes one of those games. One of the games he was extremely quiet. One game he had us on toes. So, we'll have to wait and see. Matoma's definitely got quality. Of course, I do back Wan-Bissaka in those 1v1 situations, so time will tell. Solly March, great footballer, great form. Going into the game, again, another threat for them. Obviously got Welbeck as well. And Keithio, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but you know what I'm on about. No, they've got a great talent. We know these guys are the kings of finding gems. They've got abundance of talent in that team, and of course they play great brand of football. Look, for me personally, Manchester United have to approach this game in only one way, and that is with sheer effort, desire, and hunger to win this game. I'm sorry, if we do not come and apply ourselves with the work, the bare minimums, which is the fundamentals of the game, which is working hard, we are not going to win this game. Ten Hag said in the press conference that, you know, the boys are ready to fight, blah, blah, blah. I need to see that on the pitch. I'm sick and tired of empty words. I need to see the boys are wanting to fight on the pitch. That's all I need to see from United. Obviously, in terms of the manner in which we move the ball, that goes without saying, with purpose. I mean, against Arsenal, for large periods, yes, we had the ball, but we moved it with absolutely no purpose. There was no movement off the ball, and that was a massive, massive worry and concern. Like, it was essentially watching a training ground game where the players have never played with each other before. So for me, that was a massive worry. Of course, you know, that needs to be improved. Ten Hag needs to work on that. Overall, not good enough in terms of the final third in general, not even just this season, in general. For the best part of 12 months, we've been nowhere near the levels. Rashford's been bailing us out for the best part of 5 months or whatever it is. We need other players to step on and be cowed for. We don't score enough goals. We do create chances, but we don't score. So hopefully Højlund can change that. Of course, games change, goals change games, and obviously if we get a couple of early games goals, the game will be stretched, and that will of course benefit us. So look, end of the day, gotta be clinical, take our chances, but it's going to be end to end. I mean, we know one thing with Brighton, they come to play football. So from that perspective, the score could be absolutely anything. Yeah, the score could be absolutely anything. Of course, we need to be on job. Get Højlund this service, and hopefully we can sort something out. United way, I'm predicting a 3-1 United win. Højlund, Rashford, and Bruno. That would be the perfect scenario. I mean, a clean sheet would be perfect scenario. But listen, just get a 3 points. Try to build some momentum. Do you think Højlund will definitely start? United went to Denmark to give him limited time on the pitch as he's coming back from injury. May Højlund starting fine. I mean, to start him away to Bayern is a tall order, isn't it? I would personally start him tomorrow. I haven't seen him in training, so I don't know what condition he's in. But I didn't watch him for Denmark. I don't know how much minutes he played, so Balmain's free to let me know. But for me, we have to start him. We're crying out for a number 9. We finally got one who's available for selection. Get him on the pitch and get him some service, because that is the thing that Manchester United are massively struggling with. So for me, I would start him. We'll have to wait and see what Ten Hag does. But listen, all in all, we should be beating Brighton. Yes, they're a fantastic team. They're quite easy players off the park, and I won't be particularly surprised. I get that. But we're at home. Our home record has been fantastic. I haven't seen us lose a home game in 12 months. And I will be at Old Trafford. Hopefully everything goes smoothly tomorrow. So inshallah, can bring a bit of good luck. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, listen, that being said, that is the end of the show. Obviously, get your score predictions in. We've watched this on repeat. Obviously, slap a like on the video, and of course, subscribe to the channel. My score prediction is going to be, I'm really tempted to say 2-2. Because we're at home, I'm just going to say 3-2 Manchester United. I don't see us keeping a clean sheet. I think it's going to be a really open game. If we do win, it might be similar to how we beat them last season, where we were extremely lucky. But listen, we'll take it. Our games on paper, bar the obviously Champions League game against Bayern, are all winnable for me personally. I would expect Man United to beat all those teams, home and away. Yes, I understand, every game in the Premier League throws up its own sort of difficulties, but we need to start picking up wins and we need to start building momentum. And at the end of the day, this Brighton game is a massive for me personally. If we get through this game, we can definitely start building momentum and obviously get, turn the tide in terms of like the negative into positive. There's been a lot of negativity within the last 2 weeks, and hopefully a win tomorrow can obviously change that. Listen, United way, thank you as always for tuning in. Enjoy the game tomorrow. Thank you, brother. And Jerry right at the end saying tune in United. Love the confidence, and of course the clean sheet would be absolutely sublime. But that has been your preview. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Of course, I will be at Old Trafford tomorrow. I might do a vlog. I'll just see what happens. Obviously, I'm not got anything planned as of yet. Just see how the day pans out. If not, I'll try to get a reaction for you lovely people on Sunday. We'll see you again. Actually, I'm working, but yeah, I'll try to sort something out. Anyways, it has been your boy, man. Thank you as always for tuning in. Apart from that, slap a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. My socials are on the screen. You're Usman Talks United. You can follow me on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and of course here on YouTube. Apart from that, 3,